Someone hand me an extra large plate, top it with a historic World Series matchup, add on a side of the NFL, make room for some college football, and sprinkle that with a little bit of NBA action, because that's what we're having tonight, because it is week 8 of College Crossfire, and we are going to be talking it all in just a few seconds, coming right up with a great show. Good evening to all our viewers tonight. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin, and we have a fantastic show in store for you. Before meeting our contestants, I just wanted to say that today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between, so plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. All right, let's get into it. Now into week 7 of the year, we're ready to introduce tonight's contestants. So without further ado, let's get this train rolling. Kicking things off, we have a man returning to the set once again, former Crossfire producer from last year and hopeful Falcons fan. It's Justin Goosman. Justin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. I'd be better if the Longhorns and the Falcons didn't both take a tragic L this past weekend. But if the Warriors win tonight, it can all be solved. And if I get a win tonight, it can all be solved. So we're excited. We're ready to go.
One of the perks of coming from a military family is you don't have all your teams in one city, so you have your teams kind of spread out all over. You can kind of pick and choose a little bit, kind of like a superpower. Up to bat, we have someone making their first Crossfire appearance of the year, a control room whiz, and we already know he's going to be chirping at everyone tonight, the audience and the contestants. This one's going to be very fun. Aram Vela. Aram, how's this going?
First of all, good morning, Robert, but that's fake news. I'm not a chirper. Okay, let's just, it's the morning, bro. Okay, I believe it was about 4 scoring about a year ago that I was up here, but, it's good to be back. I might have COVID, but, we're here. We still had to pull through.
Aram Vela dropping two spoilers on us tonight. 1, he hasn't looked at the questions yet, and 2, he may have COVID. Anyways, finishing off the starting 3, we have a freshman making his first ever appearance on College Crossfire tonight. It's my fellow Houston fan, Mr. Tyler Strempel. Tyler, how's it going tonight?
It's going good. I'm healthy for now. I might try to move my seat over a little bit. I don't want to be a part of this biological warfare going on to my right over here. But excited to get a dub tonight. So
we're excited to have you on. So before we get started, we need to review the game's rules in case you've never tuned in before. There are going to be 3 rounds with each one containing 3 questions and points dished out to who I believe has the best answers in order of 3, 2, and 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the 3rd round wins and gets to come on back for next week's show. However, in this 3rd round, it's called the rapid fire round, meaning it's double the points, so it will be 6 points, 4 points, and 2 points. Also, in this rapid fire round, none of the contestants have seen the questions yet, so they're going to have to think on their feet and give what their idea is of the best possible answer. Now that we've reviewed the rules and how each round goes, let's get right into it. Starting things off, on Saturday, number 5 Georgia handed number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns their first loss of the season in an ugly upset by a score of 30-15. A lot wasn't working for Texas in this game offensively. Why did the Longhorns lose, and just what went wrong?
I'm going to blame this all on coaching. I think that's what it comes down to this past week. And the reason why is the defense played electric, but our head coach, or the head coach of Texas, Steve Sarkisian, is an offensive mind, right? And when your head coach is an offensive mind, you have to have the offense ready to play, and they were not ready all night long. It looked like Quinn Ewers was seeing ghosts. Arch Manning goes in, he was seeing ghosts, right? And when you make that decision to put Arch Manning into the game, you have to stick with that decision. I think it was the worst decision of the season by far, and maybe the worst decision of Steve Sarkisian's career at Texas. Because when you put in Arch Manning in a crucial moment like he did, with just over 2 minutes left in the first half, a chance to double up on points, given that they were going to get the ball back at the beginning of the second half, you can't make that decision. And if you do, you have to stick with that decision and keep Arch the entire game.
Sort of like, don't backtrack. You're going to make a decision,
Terrible
stick
answer.
to it. Aram?
What a terrible answer, first of all. To place the blame on the coaching when they're not the ones. To be fair, it is both sides of the table. So it is the coach's fault. It is the player's fault. The main reason, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why they lost. They didn't control the line of scrimmage. I don't mean to sound like Mike Butterworth, but football is a game of the trenches. If you lose the offensive if you lose the offensive and the defensive line of the football, you're going to lose the game. They didn't capitalize on interceptions, early turnovers. You can't really do that. They were,
like a coaching issue.
Can you shut up, bro? I'm talking. Okay. I get an extra 20 seconds for that, by the way. So, anyways, Quinn, like you said, he was seeing ghosts. I mean, I feel like you could put Helen Keller and Stevie Wonder out there. They would have better pocket presence than Quinn Ewers. And also, they didn't take care of the football well in the first quarter at all. I think it was the first half, actually. So, they didn't take care of the football. You know, they turned the ball over. They lost the line of scrimmage battle. You don't do those 3 things, you're not going to win a football game.
Sounds like that's about everything that kind of went wrong for the Longhorns. You know, not capitalizing off of turnovers. But what I got most from that is, you know, offensive line didn't come together when they needed to. Tyler, finish this one off.
Now that I finally get to talk, I feel like that went on for hours. So I'm going to go ahead and also say offensive line play. I'm going to go really hard on the offensive line here because the defense, again, they did their job. They held Georgia to the lowest, second lowest point total they had all season. I want to take a little bit of blame off of Ewers. He did not have the best day, but statistically, he also didn't have the worst day. 25 of 43 for 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He took 5 sacks. The offensive line gave up 7 sacks all game, and you cannot win a football game if none of your quarterbacks have any time in the pocket. I don't think Ewers was the problem. I think it was genuinely that the offensive line was not a match for Georgia's pass rush. They did not prepare enough. This was their first big test against a defense. You are not the stage manager, my friend. This is the best pass rush they've played all year, and they were not prepared. And I think they're gonna get tests like this, and they've got to figure out how to make that offensive line a little better, protect their quarterback, give him time to make a play downfield instead of just having no time and getting sacked.
You know, it's interesting you said that because, you know, while Ewers didn't have his best game, people have been kind of quick to blame him, but he beat Carson Beck in every quarterback category in this past game.
Carson Beck had 3 interceptions.
3 interceptions.
The defense did their job entirely. It was completely on the offense, and specifically that O-line.
Exactly, and so 5 sacks is just unacceptable. You have to find ways to score. For that being said, I'm going to give you the 3, Tyler. Goose, I like what you said about the coaching. However, they turned it around in the second half and were able to, you know, make something happen just a little bit. Aram, you'll get the 1. Great answers all around on that front right there. But moving forward, we're going to jump into the MLB with the World Series going on. Friday night is Game 1, where the New York Yankees will visit the Los Angeles Dodgers, East Coast versus West Coast, in a best-of-7 series. This matchup is as cinematic as it could possibly get, as it is filled with all-stars. So, who's going to take home this series, and how many games will it be? Aram, start this one off for us.
You know, like you said, it's they are the 2 biggest markets in baseball. So, I mean, both of these teams have a payroll deeper than Escobar in the 80s. So, sorry. So if you take a look at both sides, if you take a look at two teams, they're both star-studded. I mean, they got players like Juan Soto. They got Aaron Judge, who he's a choker, but let's just put him in there anyways. We got what's the other dude's name? Giancarlo Stanton. But on the other side of the team, the Dodgers, you got the best player in the world at the end of the day, maybe the best player we've ever seen. So I mean, you look at Shohei Ohtani, you look at Mookie Betts. He has 4 home runs. Shohei has 3. And who's the other dude? I don't know who the other dude is. Who cares? Some other dude has 3. So Shohei is the best player in the world at the end of the day. So these teams are so even to where it could go to 7. I believe it's going to go to 7, and because they're going to get a lot of money by advertising sponsorship deals. Believe me, the MLB wants us to go to 7 too. So I'm going to take the Dodgers in 7 because what a scene would that be? Them winning in 7 at Yankee Stadium, Game 7.
Very, very interesting right there. I really do think this is going to be a super even series, and I think all the stars on both teams are actually going to come out. I don't think any single player, I don't think any of the big stars on either teams are going to have a bad series. I think they're all going to step up to the plate here. Tyler.
I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction. I think it's going to be the New York Yankees. I think it's going to be in 6 games. Listen, either answer is bad for me for the Manfred Bowl. I just don't like either of these teams particularly. But when you look at them side by side, you have offenses that have very equal firepower. 4 players that I can there are like 4 or 5 players on that Yankees lineup who are batting near or above 300 this postseason. But the big discrepancy is the Dodgers' pitching depth is going to hurt them in the end. They have almost a full point of ERA. I think it's like 3.27 to 4.36. The Yankees have a better ERA. I think that once the Dodgers have to tap into those bullpen games, the Mets offense could not capitalize on that in Game 6 to take it to a 7th game. The Yankees absolutely will be able to do that. Stanton will hit a home run. Rizzo's having a surprisingly underrated postseason. Soto's having 333. I think that it's the Dodgers. The Dodgers pitching is going to collapse. The Yankees pitching is going to do just well enough. I mean, the Yankees offense made Emmanuel Clase look like a member of the White Sox. If they can do that to him, they can do it to anybody. It'll be Yankees in 6.
You know, a bullpen game in this series for the Yankees would practically be Pirates' treasure for them. You know, Tony Gonsolin, a former starter who was undergoing Tommy John surgery last year and making his rehab this past season. There's some speculation that he may come back, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. And he does. It's a bullpen game. Goose?
Yeah, I mean, what a treat for baseball fans. You can hate both of these teams, but also recognize that these are the 2 most iconic franchises in the sport, maybe barring the Red Sox. And when you have a matchup like this, there's no rhyme or reason in making a prediction, right? You can now analyze the rosters, you can look at the stats, but at the end of the day, for me, I think it comes down to the Dodgers lineup where they have Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman. Those 3 all in a row is like there's not a whole lot you can do. They're almost always guaranteed to get 1 or 2 of those guys on base. It feels like every single time they come around that area in the lineup, they're going to score a run. And, you know, the Yankees, they've had a really good postseason, but Aaron Judge has not played up to the caliber that everyone thought Aaron Judge would be playing at this postseason. And I think the lights may be too bright for them, and that's why I'm going to go Dodgers in 7. But again, nobody really knows what's going to happen in this series. Like these 2 said, super even matchup, just a treat for baseball fans everywhere.
It's going to be super even, and like you said, I don't know if Aaron Judge is kind of playing up to his best right now. He's going to have a great series, but overall, like maybe not his his pinnacle of his postseason career. I do think it is going to go to 7 games, and I do think the Dodgers, they will take it. That Game 7 will be played in L.A. if it has come to that point. Aram, you'll get the 2 on that one. Goose the 3 if it's not already implied. And Strempel, I like your answer. I don't know if the Yankees are going to win it in 6. If anything, they would win it in 7. But we'll see that the bullpen game is necessary. Great answers all around. On Sunday, the NFC North stabilized to some pretty even standings after the Lions beat the first-place Vikings and the Packers beat the Texans. Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay are all currently sitting at 5 wins in their division, while the Bears are right behind them with 4. There's still a lot of football left to play, and this division is without a doubt the most even in the league right now. Who will win this division, and how will the rest of the division standings play out? Tyler, start this one off for us.
Okay. I think starting off with the easy one, far and away the best team in the division is the Detroit Lions. They will finish in first place. Packers will get second place. I think that they are a really good team. Jordan Love is just having a great year. That defense is underrated. I think the Vikings are going to start to cool down. I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I just think Sam Darnold's going to come a little bit back to earth. Also, they have, I think, the 3rd hardest schedule in the NFL, so that's really hard to overcome. I think the Bears are going to get 4th place. That's not saying that they're going to be a bad team. Caleb Williams, I've said my stuff in the past in private about him being a bust. He's had a pretty decent season, and he has some weapons around him, but I just think this is going to be one of those chemistry years where they will overperform, but they'll do better next year. The Lions are right in the middle ground between like a mid-tier, like 17th ranked schedule, and a really, really good team. Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield, St. Brown, Goff. That defense is underrated, even with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. I think it's just going to be it's going to be the Lions division, but the Packers are going to come in as that wild card. I expect the Packers to actually make a run for it in the wild card round.
Do you have them at second place? Yes.
I have them at second. It's Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears.
Right. Goose, what do you have to say about the standings?
Yeah, I'm not gonna differ too much here, but I am gonna say that the Vikings are gonna be second in that division. I'm gonna go Lions at 1. I think they're not only the best team in the division, I think they're the best team in the NFC. And then I'm gonna go the Vikings at 2. And the only reason I'm doing that, I do believe Sam Darnold could cool off, but the Packers already have one division loss. And Jordan Love, as good as he is, as great of a quarterback as he is, he puts the ball in harm's way. And the Vikings defense and the Bears defense are both really good at creating turnovers. So that's why I think the Packers are going to end up being third in the division. And then, sorry, Bears fans, I think the Bears are a really good team, but I just don't see them beating their division opponents multiple times this season to get an edge anywhere in that division. I just don't. I think that's going to lead to them missing the playoffs, but I got to go Lions 1, Vikings 2, Packers 3, and Bears in 4th.
You know, kind of disputing what Tyler was saying right there. The Green Bay already has a divisional loss. And, you know, the Vikings, they have one of the best defenses in the whole league right now. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole division shakes out. Aram, finish this one off.
I'm going to do the same order this fool said, but I'm explaining a little better. So the Lions, I expect them to be a Super Bowl contender just like they were last year. They fell short to the Niners. The loss of Aiden Hutchinson sucks, but I expect them to make a splash at the deadline for a certain pass rusher in Las Vegas. I'm going to put the Packers at 2 because no matter how much talent they have on their roster, it always seems like they're just always consistent. You know, I would describe them as the Steelers of the NFC. I'm going to put them at 2. Jordan Love, 15 touchdown passes, second in the league. He's a really good quarterback. He's not, you know, he's not worth all that money, in my opinion, but he's still pretty good. I'm going to put the Vikings at 3. Listen, we've seen this script before with this team. The 2016 Vikings started off 5-0. That similar scripts with the quarterback, former first-round picks, Sam Darnold, Sam Bradford, even same first name, saving their careers allegedly. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to cool off. They ended up losing 8 of their last 11 that game. And, you know, the Bears, I think they're going to be a good team in the future. I mean, they're not going to be a good team this year necessarily. I mean, maybe if there was a play-in in the NFL, maybe they would make that. But sorry, Timmy and Jason, it's not going to happen this year. It's going to be Lions, Packers, who's the other team? Vikings, and then the Bears.
Like you said, kind of the same cooling off system that Sam Bradford may have on the Vikings, and then that the Packers are a little bit more consistent right there. Sincere apologies to Jason Conander, Tommy Yarish, and Ethan Ferguson, former TSTV Chicago fans. As everyone here has the Bears in last place. With that being said, though, I think that Vikings defense, that was the point I was looking for. Goose, you'll get the 3 on this one. I think they're going to stabilize that Packers offense, and given the Packers already have a loss. Tyler, I like how you mentioned how, you know, Green Bay right now, Jordan Love can kind of put the ball in the right places, and he can find the right receivers. I do like what you're saying with that. And Aram, you're right there with 1. Very, very close answers on that one, though. It's hard to kind of figure out who gets the 2 versus the 1 on all the exact same standings. But great answers all around. That's going to mark the end of our first round. We've got plenty more to come, so don't go anywhere because we'll be talking about the NBA when we come right back. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We had a great first round with Mr. Justin Goosman leading the way right now. Tyler Strempel right in second place and Aram Vela on the third spot. I think we have all that we have out of our system now from that Georgia-Texas game. We have all that we have out of our system from the NFL and the World Series coming up on Friday. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the NBA. But before we do that, I do have one more NFL question I want to go ahead and ask y'all. I've said all season long the NFL has been playing out in a crazy way so far. The Washington Commanders are leading the NFC East with a rookie quarterback now, when a lot of people just thought the Eagles would just be running the table. So, stepping aside from the Jaden Daniels hype train, which non-quarterback rookie is having the best season so far, and why? Tyler, I believe this one is you.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a really great player on a really horrible team, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is having I have not heard a lot about this guy, but 30 receptions, 513 yards, 4 touchdowns. The yards and touchdowns in the top 10 of the NFL. He's got 17.1 yards per catch, and quarterback is Trevor Lawrence, which is not – he hasn't been setting the world on fire in a really long time. I think that the fact that he's doing this all with Trevor Lawrence, imagine if he had a real quarterback. Like, that would be just insane. I think that I originally was looking at your major options, your Malik Neighbors, but Brian Thomas Jr. is actually having a better season than Malik Neighbors in basically every statistical category. 7 more yards per catch, less receptions, more yards, and 1 more touchdown. I think that it's a great pickup. Once the Jaguars can actually get a real quarterback that doesn't, suck for $65 million a year, that he will become one of the top wide receivers in the league, and I think he's already showing that this year.
You can't really deny anything when you're a rookie wide receiver and you're about leading the NFL in every receiving category. Some good points right there. Aram?
I'm also going to go with a great player on a bad team, Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia for the Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas, who cares. So he has 47 receptions for 477 yards. That's good for 8th in the league. I know Brian Thomas is sitting at 6th, but this is a tight end we're talking about. And with Devontae Adams getting traded to the Jets, Brock Bowers' targets, he's already carrying that offense. It's only going to go up from there. So he's going to have he's quietly having a historical rookie season at the tight end spot. I expect him to get more targets. I mean, he has Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell throwing to, and that's worse than Trevor Lawrence, and he still has like 30 less yards than Brian Thomas Jr. Not that Brian Thomas Jr. is a bad player by any means. So, yeah, I expect him to have a good rookie season. He's going to have a good career. We're looking at somebody that could be like Gronk and Kelsey by the end of their career.
Bowers is a great player, and he's also helping me out in my fantasy team right now. That I drafted him with a wing and a prayer because I never really know how good rookies will be in fantasy football.
Yeah, I was actually going to go with Brock Bowers, but because Aram kind of took that answer out from under me, I'm going to go with an offensive lineman, Joe Alt. I mean, this guy has been absolutely dominant in every game that he's played this season. I believe the first sack he gave up was to former Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. Like, if you watch Joe Alt play and you know football, I think it's clear to say that he's already one of the best offensive linemen in the entire NFL, rivaling Trent Williams even at that position. And he's not going to be flashy. He's not going to have touchdowns. He's not going to have 47 receptions like Brock Bowers. But the impact that he has on that squad, protecting Justin Herbert and reviving that run game with J.K. Dobbins, who had been hurt in the past, I think that can't go understated, just the impact that he's having behind Harbaugh as the head coach. I think he's going to be a staple of that team for 15 to 20 years.
Joe Alt, a great offensive lineman out of the draft who's helping Harbaugh on this new team. Harbaugh's first draft pick, and it's always super fun to watch some O-lineman highlights. I remember Quentin Nelson's against my own Texans, and they showed that for about 5 years, and they're like, oh, check out Quentin Nelson. He's one of the best O-linemen. 5 years later, there's only highlights they're showing are that one game against the Texans. Like, did he have another game? They're still fun to watch. With that being said, I have to give the 3 to Mr. Strempel over here. I think you hit about every category I was kind of looking for. Outright best rookie so far. Brock Bowers, too, doing the same thing. I'm going to give you the 2 on this one, Aram. And then Joe Alt. It's hard to measure O-lineman, but it's a great answer. I'll give you the 1 on that one. Great answers all around. And now let's get into, I believe, 2 out of 3 of y'all's favorite sport. I don't know about what Tyler yours is. I think it's the MLB. The NBA season tipped off last night, and a new era of basketball is beginning. Some are new stars who we grew up watching in our early teenage years, for those of us on the show right now, and some are completely new rookies heading onto the court, whether they're from college basketball or from a completely different country. While new rookie sensations are on the rise, there are many generational styles of basketball to enjoy for this current season. So, with many players to choose from, who will be this season's MVP and why? I believe this one is Aram Vela.
So obviously the easiest answer here would be Jokic. One of these guys are probably going to say that. I'm going to go with a different direction, a different foreign player. I'm going to go with Giannis. We forget what this dude has done. I mean, they both have one NBA championship. Jokic has him on the MVPs. But the difference between him and Jokic is that this is a guy who could go for MVP and potentially defensive player of the year, for sure all defensive first team in the same season. The last 2 years he was injured in the first round. They got eliminated to the Heat, and they got eliminated to the Pacers in 24. And the year before that, they got eliminated to the team that would eventually go on to lose against Goose's Warriors in the finals in the Boston Celtics. But before that, they won against the Suns. So this team, if you look at it, it's tooled around him. You know, he has Damian Lillard, he has all these guys, Gary Trent, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton. It's geared around Giannis, and it's going to depend on him. They're going to go as far as he can take him. I mean, he's a walking 30, 12, and 5 at the end of the day. He's my pick for MVP, and I expect him to the Bucks aren't going to get eliminated in the first round this year. Let's just say that.
Giannis, just a super electric player. I have a hard time thinking whether I should categorize him in with some of the older players or if he's still like one of the older players in the younger generation. It's still hard to tell because he looks so athletic out there. No signs of slowing down. Giannis, great player. Goose?
When I think of the MVP, I think of a couple things. One, whose team is going to be one of the best in the league. And two, what narratives surround this player that are going to help them garner the MVP vote. And when I think of those two things, I think of Jason Tatum. Look at the Olympics this past season. Didn't get played by Steve Kerr. He was the laughing stock of the entire country for a little while there. And then I think of how good the Boston Celtics are right now. They're going to be one of the best, if not the best team in the entire league. And then I look at what he did last night. 37 points, 8 of 11 from 3. He's retooled the jump shot. He looks confident. He's a great defender. And I think that with all of those things surrounding him, plus you add on the fact that the last few MVP awards have gone to foreign-born players, a lot of the voters are U.S.-born reporters, I think all of the narratives really set up for Jason Tatum to win MVP, and I think that he's going to have a monster season. The championship ring, that monkey's off his back. He had all the Olympic issues. He wants to prove everyone wrong, so I got to go with Jason Tatum.
Take that, Steve Kerr. 37 points last night. Wonder what he's thinking right now. Strempel?
I'm going to go to the Western Conference. I'm going to go to Oklahoma City. We're going to go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win the MVP this year. He's having an amazing stretch these past 2 seasons. Last season, he averaged 30.1 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 6.2 assists. He had a higher than 50% shooting percentage and over 2 steals per game, joining Michael Jordan and Steph Curry as the only third player to do that since 1974. Which is just insane. He had an even better postseason. I think that supporting cast is going to help him with that assist mark. I think he's going to have a similar, if not better, shooting record, more points per game, and I think that points, rebounds, assists, that supporting cast. I think he pushes the Thunder into the finals, and I think that act alone nets a season that is good enough to get him that Michael Jordan trophy. I think it's going to be SGA from OKC.
Specifically speaking, there are so many great players who could be MVP this year, but this whole Jason Tatum versus Shai debate kind of reminds me of like a Steph Curry versus Harden debate. Who gets the MVP right here? Right now, I think the Celtics.
In 2017, that was Harden.
Hey, your turn's over, bro. You can't
Harden
talk no
got
more.
robbed of 2 more MVP awards, just for full disclosure. But with that being said, I think they give it to the more dominant team right now. And I think Shai will win an MVP award. He will. But I think the Celtics are way too dominant right now. You're going to get the 3, Tyler with the 2, and with the 1.
It's okay, little bro.
It's so fun to watch the NBA, though, right now. I'm surprised none of y'all said Anthony Edwards. I could have given y'all a 3. I don't know what's wrong with that one. Additionally, along with the beginning of this season, many teams have recently signed huge contracts with new or returning players to lock them into their franchise in hopes they can help bring them home another ring. Up until the Celtics won the NBA Finals back in June, all the way until the first tip-off yesterday, so in that time period, which team had the most beneficial player signing for a contract? Goose?
I'm going to go a little outside the box here. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be looking at Paul George, some of those bigger names, Mikal Bridges going to the Knicks in a trade. I got to choose Alex Caruso, and here is why. That Oklahoma City Thunder squad is built for long-term success. I think with the pieces they have around them now, Alex Caruso is going to fit in as an elite defender and a connector piece that's going to help elevate them. Remember, they got Isaiah Hartenstein as well. That team on defense with Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein, SGA, Jalen Williams, and then you add in Alex Caruso, who's arguably the best on-ball defender. He's got hops like crazy. I think when you look at his impact at the end of the year, nobody's going to be really able to quantify it by just looking at his stats, and that's exactly why I think it's going to be Alex Caruso.
That Thunder team is so exciting to watch. Kind of see them building up. Caruso's on there now, and then Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's fun to kind of watch this team build from the ground up like the Celtics did and like the Houston Rockets are doing right now. Go H-Town, baby. Tyler? Or is it Aram? Aram.
Oh, it's me. I'm getting told by him that it's me. Okay, well, that actually tees me up really perfectly. I'm going to go to the Houston Rockets, actually. On Monday, the Houston Rockets signed Alperen Şengün to a 5-year, $185 million contract. And if we're looking at a signing that is beneficial for a team's long-term success, I think you really find one here. I think you find a franchise player here. He has been tangibly better every single year in the league. 9.6 points per game first year, 14.9 second year, to almost 22 last year. He was an all-star candidate. He got third in most improved player voting. Also, he's one of only 6 players to average 21.95, joining a list of Jokic, Doncic, Curry, Giannis, and Randall, which is just insane. He is great on defense. He's great on offense. And I think if you're a young team trying to lock in a franchise player, they only paid 80% of what the max would have been. So it's actually a team-friendly deal that allows them to make moves in the future. They were 41-41. I think he puts them in the playoffs for multiple years after this year.
Love to hear it. Rockets, they're going to the playoffs this year. Şengün, Jalen Green, those new signings, that's what they needed. Y'all better watch out. Aram?
He chose a bench player, and he chose a player on a Houston team that's not going to make the playoffs, but I'll probably still end up with the one, right? So, anyways, the show is rigged. It's always been rigged, let's be honest. It was stolen from me last year. So, let's be honest here. I'm going to go with LeBron James. Screw it, I'm going to lose anyways. So, he signed a 2-year, $106 million deal in the offseason. Let's be honest. If we're talking about something that's beneficial, let's look at something other than on the court. Obviously, if you have LeBron James, you're going to be expected to be in contention. The Lakers just proved that they just beat one of the best teams in the league last night. Let's be honest about it. The Minnesota Timberwolves got better. They won that deal. But let's look at the financial side of this as well. 2 years, Bronny is not a Laker if LeBron James doesn't sign that. There was rumors that he was going to leave, but it just wasn't going to happen. 2 years, it's going to keep him there until he's 41 years old. Imagine how much financial assets you're going to get for LeBron James' farewell tour. I think that was the most beneficial re-signing because if you notice in the question, it says, yeah, I see you, Ike. Come on, calm down, buddy. Okay, so LeBron James is my answer.
So I do like LeBron James' answer in that they're still a playoff team. No one can deny it. I mean, they went to the playoffs last season. They almost won their series. I think it went to 6 or 7 games.
Without him, they're I was about to say something else. Without him, they're not a playoff team. Without Alex Caruso, they were a playoff team. Without whoever he said in Houston's going to be a trash organization. So
I think just for that answer.
Wow.
First off, Tyler Strempel, you're going to get the 3 on this one. I do think Şengün. The Rockets are going to the playoffs this year. There's no denying that. I think Caruso is a great pickup with 2. And for your words about your words about my city, I don't know, man. The one right there.
The count.
Another great round from our contestants. That's going to wrap things up on the one time of the year where the stars align, aka when the NBA, MLB, and NFL intersect. Adding up our scores as we do over the break, it's going to be Goosman and Strempel in a very tight race right now, and then Aram Vela just behind them. But stay tuned because we have rapid fire coming up next, so it's about to get hot. Stay with us. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We have a super close game right now with Justin Goosman and Tyler Strempel both tied at 14. Very, very close one. Aram Vela has 9. Y'all are making me do this. But tonight's one is still up for grabs by anyone. As we begin our third and final round, rapid fire, double the points, double the pressure. This is still anyone's game, and anyone can still win. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Right now, late October, it's arguably one of the best times of the sports year. We're about to begin the World Series. The NFL and college football are smack dab in the middle of their seasons, and the NBA is tipping off right now. Not to mention the NHL season has also recently begun. This has left me thinking, which time of the sports year is the best and why? Anyone can start.
I have always said this. I will always say this. The first 2 days of March Madness should be a national holiday. There should be no work. You should be off of school. You should be able to watch every game that you want on a quad box, on your computer, on your phone, whatever. It's ridiculous that you got to go to work and try and focus on doing an actual task while you have a 15 seed coming down to the wire against a 2 seed. You got a 12 seed on the verge against a 5 seed. I mean, when are we going to be a real society? When are we going to make the right decisions? The first 2 days of March Madness should be a national holiday, and that's why the best time of the year in sports is March.
I will say March Madness is a lot of fun. I don't think I have more fun during the sports year filling out 15 brackets that I think are going to win me $1 million. Tyler?
Okay, so I had 2 answers locked and loaded, and he took one of them. So we're going to go with the other one, and that's going to be October. And here's why. You have baseball playoffs. You have the NFL midseason. NBA is starting. NHL. College football is well underway. We're about to see the beginning of men's basketball here soon. And there is nothing better than in your free time, if you have multiple TVs or a big enough computer monitor, putting 4 games on your screen and just having the most ADHD fit you've ever had in your entire life. You can have Red Zone on and basketball, and if you're early enough in October, you have a day playoff game like hockey. You get hockey in there. I mean, it is every sports fan's dream to not know which screen to look at because they're all so great. So October, just in terms of quantity of quality, it's going to be October.
So right now is about the best
Right now, we are living in the best time of the year for sports.
I think not a lot of people will really talk about that when they talk about best time of the year. It's overlooked, even though this is when everything is playing right now. Aram, finish this one.
I mean, come on, Robbie. How long did it take you to write that one?
What?
How long did it take you to write that question up?
Probably like...
It probably took you even longer to write down those little calculations you do after every round. But anyways, I mean, there's only 2 answers here. Let's be honest. I got the end of the stick because I'm the last one. I'm just gonna pick a random. Somebody give me a random month, and I'll go with that. We'll go with that. We'll go with New Year's Day, sometime around February, I believe. You got the Super Bowl. You got NBA mid-season. College football. I just lost. Huh?
Rose Bowl.
The Rose Bowl. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? That's my answer. February.
I will say, February is a lot of fun because you have NBA. I think the All-Star game always is super close.
My birthday.
Spring training is going on, and right? Pitchers and catchers, spring training, and you have the most important event of the sports calendar, the Super Bowl. So, and hockey, but I don't have a team in Houston. The Super Bowl. So I truly think that February is also one of the best times of the sports year. I think that maybe one of the slowest times of the sports year could be June, unless you're like June, July.
That's a good point.
So last night, history was made during the Lakers Timberwolves game when LeBron James and his son Bronny checked into the game late in the second quarter together. Together they became the first father-son duo to share the court in the NBA. So while this has been a very rare occurrence across other sports, which father-son or mother-daughter duo has been or would have been the best of all time?
Fantastic question. I'm going to go with the one that's on screen. Everybody thinks about it. The only father-son duo to hit back-to-back jacks in a Major League Baseball game, it is the Griffeys. Ken Griffey Sr., Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr., one of the best players of the mid-90s to 2000s. Imagine what could have happened if he hadn't gotten injured. Ken Griffey Sr., apple didn't fall far from the tree. You had them on the same team, back-to-back in the lineup, and they both hit home runs. Imagine going to family dinner that night and being like, so, hey, Dad, what'd you do today? Oh, I hit a home run. What'd you do, son? Yeah, I hit a home run right after you did. That's just incredible. You're not going to see, sorry, LeBron and Bronny, but I don't see I don't see your son being as good as you quite yet, and LeBron doesn't have that much time left in the NBA. I don't think you're going to see a level of equal dominance between father and son as you did the Griffeys.
Ken Griffey Jr., kind of the first athlete we've seen kind of truly live up to their father's hype. Aram?
I'm going to just be petty here. I'm going to take his guy, Steph Curry and Del Curry. That's the right answer. I should get the 3. I should get the 1 right.
It's the 6 in the
who cares? He can't do the multiplications anyways. So I'm going to take Stephen Curry Jr. and Del Curry because, Steph Curry by himself is a top 10 player of all time. Del, he was all right, but he wasn't like nice like Steph Curry. But there's not really much other father-son duo. Maybe Kobe. R.I.P. That's probably gonna be Goose's answer.
I'm gonna go with the only other answer that I think could end up being better than Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. And that's gonna be Marvin Harrison Sr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. Because you look at what Marvin Harrison Sr. did with Peyton Manning, and you look at the ability and the natural talent that Marvin Harrison Jr. has right now. You'll watch Cardinals games, and Kyler Murray will just miss him on wide open routes. The one game where Kyler Murray gave him targets, he had, 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards in, the first half. If you put those two on the same squad together, I don't think there'd be a defense in NFL history that could shut them down. I just don't. The natural ability from both of them, I think they would be the best duo ever if they both shared the field in their prime.
So one at your X and one at your Y on receiver slots.
Absolutely.
They're both wide outs.
I would put Junior out wide, and I'd put if you have to, I'd put Senior in the slot even.
I will say with Marvin Harrison Jr., great college player. It's a little early to see how well he's going to be. I know I don't say the answers. Crossfire questions, but I kind of have to get my take out on this one. I kind of feel a need to. I do think that the Currys would be the best duo. I know that the Griffeys were great, but the Currys, Steph Curry and Del Curry, sharpest shooters in all of basketball.
He's not even the most famous Del.
That's crazy. Where's the water bottle?
This is a debate show. I think the Currys are.
Luckily, we have no more water.
Just a couple days ago, ESPN released a cover story featuring Minnesota's Justin Jefferson and Anthony Edwards wearing each other's team uniforms to showcase the iconic aura of the state's sports teams. The cover was a recreation of the year 2000's photo shoot with Kevin Garnett and Randy Moss doing the exact same thing. Which sports magazine from your memory has been the most iconic and why? Magazine cover is what we're talking about.
So I think there's really only one answer here. Well, at least in my opinion. I mean, I grew up. What year was I born? 2004, I believe. So I don't know. I don't know like what the name of it was. But like there's this one from like 2003 when LeBron entered the league. He's like posing. He's doing his little pose. I don't know what the name of it. Yeah. One that Ryan Hopper's doing right now is like palming the ball. I think. Is it Time Magazine? I don't know. It's really famous. People wear it on t-shirt. Huh?
Slam.
Yeah. People wear it on t-shirts. It's the most iconic one from our era. So that's gonna have to be my answer. He's the GOAT of our generation. That's my answer.
If it was iconic enough, I feel like you'd remember the name of the magazine. Just saying. Okay, so if we're going iconic, not necessarily meaning iconic because everybody loves it, okay? One of the most iconic because it was one of the most debated and it was very hot in 2017. 2014, Sports Illustrated puts a article from a little-known writer named Ben Ryder on the cover that says, the Houston Astros, your 2017 World Series champions. I have that magazine on my wall. The reason why it's so iconic is because he was right. Kind of. Because, of course, the cheating scandal. It's so iconic because it has become one of the most debated things. It's 7 years later, 5 years after we've heard about the scandal, and everybody still talks about it like it happened last year. It is the hot topic of the baseball world, and the Astros aren't even in the playoffs right now. In terms of how iconic it is, the fact that it predicted the future, but then the future was tainted and it's still debated, and what a ballsy move by Sports Illustrated to put such a prediction on the front cover of their magazine and have it be true. I just think that that's unparalleled, and with the controversy that rages on, that is the most iconic, good or bad.
So you think it'd be less controversial if they didn't win in 2017?
If they didn't win, it would probably be iconic because it would be so wrong, and Sports Illustrated would be idiots for putting it on the cover. But they were right, so we don't have to worry about that.
Most iconic issue of your time, Goose.
Yeah, iconic can be good and iconic can be bad. And the most iconic Sports Illustrated issue, I will never forget the picture of Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and Kobe Bryant all on the front of Sports Illustrated, calling them a super team with Superman and Dwight Howard, and talk about a team that crashed and burned. Meta World Peace was there too. That team crashed and burned. That Sports Illustrated magazine cover has been circulated around the internet like 25,000 times. I mean, I will never forget that issue. I have that issue in my childhood bedroom. Like, I have no words. I have no words.
I think I still have that issue sitting in my bedroom right now under a giant stack of just a compilation of Sports Illustrated kids covers. I remember like that team. I don't think Steve Nash played more than like 10 games that season.
Yeah, I really can't remember because that team was so bad.
I know we're sharp on time here, but quick memory. I just remember I drafted Steve Nash in fantasy basketball the next season, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna be finally back. He was questionable the entire season and never played a game. This is his last season of his career. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up tonight. Totaling up the final scores. Drum roll, please. Our winner tonight is Justin Goosman. Bang! Once again, do we have time for FaceTime? And we do. You're on the air.
Get that out of here. Get that out of here. Come on, we're back. We're back. It was a great show. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to two contestants, Aram and Tyler. Always appreciate you, Robert. Shout out my parents. Always a fun show, and can't wait to do it again.
Thank you all again to those who tuned in tonight. Congrats to Justin Goosman with a great performance, and all the other contestants, Aram and Tyler, for coming on and making this show so fun. Thanks to everyone in our control room, our executive producer, Tyler Moss, and everyone who helped out behind the scenes, Gabriel Silva, working hard on making content, and especially to you, our viewers, who always make this show so fun, those in the audience and those online. Make sure to tune into the 1-0 Sports Show to get you ready for the Vanderbilt game on Saturday. 1-0 will be on Friday, and College Press Box on Tuesday. that's going to wrap things up for College Crossfire tonight. It's been fun as always. I'm your host, Robert Gonsolin. Y'all have a good night.